Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're here, Irwin Belk Stadium. It's the first rock climbing up the mountain here going towards the top game. And we'll start with Wingate and Benedict here on the campus of Wingate University. Benedict, both these teams very similar coming into today. Benedict, unfortunate loss in their conference championship. Wingate wasn't even playing for one. So how does Benedict kind of have to reset here, kind of bounce back after having a tough loss just a week ago?
Yeah, Benedict, you got to move on. But I think that the loss to Albany State gives you a ton of confidence because it shows that you can play with these top programs in Super Region 2. Got blown out by them on their home field in the regular season. Then last week only lost by 6 points, so it's got to give you confidence.
Yeah, and so now you're looking at Wingate, right? They're trying to bounce back. They hosted a year ago, came up just short, actually ended up blowing a lead and losing in overtime, right, to a 2-point conversion. So how does Wingate find a way to kind of settle back down and defend the home turf?
I think for Wingate, you've just got to block out the noise and keep doing what you've been doing all season. Wingate has been dominant on the offensive end, and the defense has been playing well.
So as we're coming back here, getting set for kickoff, we'll head it down to our third man on the job here, Memphis, joining us from the sidelines. Memphis, what you got for us?
Thank you, guys. All offensive linemen on the Wingate are starting and playing, which is great to hear after the multiple injuries that we've had over the past couple of years. I was able to talk to quarterback coach Benedict, Paul Holmes, and he had told me that they've been emphasizing for their players to play fast and to play strong, and that Wingate can expect a good 4 quarters of football from them. He said that they're relying very much on their defensive captain, Isaiah Stevens, senior linebacker, as they lead their team in tackles, and that they're very box heavy, and that their safeties and DBs could come down and be very aggressive, which could open up passes for Elijah Holmes to complete. I talked to graduate assistant defensive back coach, and he had told me the things that they have to worry about on Benedict's side is to not let them get too much momentum and not let them get too much energy. At the end of the day, a couple of years ago, Wingate had beat them at away, and Benedict is coming back just to do the same thing. Some key players that he sees are going to be able to impact today's game are seniors Brandon Perry, cornerback, even linebacker seniors Jaquan Edwards and Davis Pryor. Shout out AD.
So, hey, that's what the keys are to the game, at least down there on the sidelines. You know Benedict's going to bring a lot of pressure. They showed that all year long. So what are you expecting, more specifically, from this defense from the Tigers as they'll be on the field first?
I think for Benedict, you got to look to stop Xavier Pugh early. You can't let this defense give up big plays, and it's going to be really important for Benedict to get off to a fast start on both sides of the ball.
Absolutely.
With how explosive this Wingate team has been.
And you're talking about the Benedict offense, not as explosive. Very balanced, but not as explosive. Xavier Pugh, an 1,000-yard rusher, broke the single-season record for touchdowns here in the program record of Wingate. And he'll have the first carry here. Actually, it'll be Jayshon Appling, and he'll take a shot, and he drops the ball. So an early fumble, and now this Wingate defense is going to have to hold on tight. It has been Xavier Pugh all year long. Jayshon Appling getting the start. In fact, I'm just now seeing Pugh not dressed out for this game.
And that is massive for Wingate. Jayshon Appling, the redshirt freshman, playing his first playoff game, and just a disastrous start for Wingate.
And exactly the start that Benedict was looking for. They're almost starting in the red zone. We just talked about, got done saying their offense not as explosive as it had been in years past. This is exactly what they were looking for here early for the Tigers. So Ocean in there for Benedict, the lefty, slings it out wide, far side of the field. That's a hard pass to make, but it's the other quarterback, converted quarterback, Trey Simmons, having the first catch of the day.
Trey Simmons started quarterback last year. Ocean came over from Johnson C. Smith and has gotten the nod this season, but Ocean's going to have to take care of the ball. 13 touchdowns to 11 interceptions.
He spreads the ball out a lot, and there's about 5 different receivers that have over 250 yards receiving for this Benedict squad. So Ocean does a great job of spreading the wealth. Does it here, an RPO look, almost getting it to Simmons across the middle, just too far out in front.
And Simmons had his man beat there. That was a walk-in touchdown if they were able to convert there. Wingate's going to be tested this secondary. No, Memphis said Brandon Perry going to be a key player here in this one.
Yeah, not only that, but you're also looking at, we talked about very much pressure-oriented on the Benedict side. Wingate's right behind him. I mean, they have almost 100 tackles for loss as a defense this year. They have 28 sacks total, so they've been causing a lot of havoc from a lot because of Elihu Lipscomb just exploding onto the scene as a freshman. Ocean getting the snap. There's pressure all in his face, and it's Brandon Perry making a sack there. So the coaches said, look out for him. Here he is making a big-time play.
Wingate had 3 rushers off of both edges. The offensive line got beat. They are a very big group, but a lot of times that means you're not the most agile group, and there you see they just get beat, and big loss. Sets up 4th and 19.
And not only that, but also sets up a much more difficult field goal attempt. There's been 2 different field goal kickers for Benedict. Zane Spires and Logan Karwacki have been going back and forth. Karwacki's out there right now. He's 5 of 10, his long of 30. He is 0 of 3 from 40 plus. His first one is just left, so the Dogs prevail. Much needed stop after the turnover.
Yeah, that is exactly what you need from Wingate. Bend but don't break. The Wingate defense was able to get some pressure in the backfield.
That was 100% because of the effort there of Brandon Perry getting that sack there on 3rd down. Even Ryan Green had great pressure on the other side of that, kind of forced Ocean to have to scramble right into the arms of Brandon Perry. So now it's up to this Wingate offense again. I wouldn't be surprised maybe Appling gets another carry here to kind of get some confidence back in the young man. And they do just that. Appling left side, he's got a ton of room, and then ankle tackle as he crosses over the 45 to the 46 for a first down. That's a good run there for Appling.
And that one saves a big gain. Donshea Gafer in on the tackle for the Tigers, but that's what you can't do if you're Benedict. Gotta get Wingate corralled, can't let them break runs like that.
And for how much pressure Benedict likes to bring, they gave up just over 115 yards a game on the ground. So gotta be careful, but here's the play action. Look now, Estranza across the middle. He has to juke his own man. Kind of ran into each other there on the crossers look, but another big gain off the play action look there. Good pass from Holmes.
This is a Benedict team that gives up almost 200 yards a game through the air, and we've mentioned how good Jalen Himes has been this season. Xavier Jackson able to get Wingate to the 25.
So just creeping in on the red zone here from Wingate. You saw Estranza probably would have had more room to work with, but actually ran into his own guy across the middle of the field. Holmes a straight drop back, comeback route there from Jackson, but wasn't quite on the same page there with Holmes.
Yeah, not sure if Jackson ran the wrong route or what the deal was there, but going back to Appling, that's got to be such a confidence builder. You know, fumble on the first play from scrimmage, but then kind of makes up for it.
Yeah, and even the O-line up front, I think, gave him plenty of room to work with. Where, I mean, you could have pretty much drove a boat through the hole up front there from the big boys. And it was, as Memphis said, finally this Wingate team starting to get healthy. They have been banged up all year long. Very rarely have you seen the full starting 5 this season. But they have that currently, and it's an empty backfield here for Holmes. Holmes looking for Himes over in the corner. Himes lost his man, and Holmes drops it in the bucket. And the Dogs score first.
Excellent response from this Wingate offense. You know, fumble and a turnover the first drive, something they don't do much of. Look at the replay here. Holmes stepping up the pocket, makes the defensive lineman miss. He was jumping, and just, you can't put that ball much better from Elijah Holmes.
It was Himes on a double move, post corner there. He went inside and then bounced back across the face of the Benedict corner, and a perfect ball, like you said, from Holmes. Continuing to be a very efficient quarterback for the Bulldogs, and Bone Steel puts his PAT up and through. So the Dogs, what a response, like you said as well. Immediately what they were looking for, got to stop, went down and scored. That's got to feel good for the Wingate Bulldogs.
Yeah, absolutely, but now it's a question, how does Benedict answer? The first real drive we're going to see from them, and It's going to be really important for them to get something going on offense here early. Obviously, we've already seen Wingate stop them once on a short field, but if Wingate could get out to a 2-score lead here, that could prove to be feeling a lot bigger than a 2-score lead with how inconsistent this Benedict offense has been.
So we'll take a quick break here. First timeout. Wingate now leads it 7-0 here early.
Their support enhances NCAA championships and the educational and athletic experience of nearly 500,000 NCAA student athletes.
So back live after a nice drive there from Wingate. Got it started with a Jay-Sean Appling 15-yard gain after he fumbled. So great start back for the young freshman. And then Elijah Holmes found Himes. That connection has been there all year long for the Bulldogs coming into today. A 1,000-yard receiver in Himes as a freshman. Holmes well over 2,500 yards through the air, 24 touchdowns on the year. Now 25 after that last one. So now, Thomas, what would you like to see from this Benedict offense? Obviously, it was a little bit different, starting where they did last time, but obviously a very balanced attack. But what do you think they have to do here?
And I think you really just got to try and establish the run early. I mean, this is a Benedict team that likes to spread around. It's a pretty even balanced attack, as you just said, but I think it all starts with the ground game and Tristan Morgan.
So Morgan, guy that had a pretty good season, all things considered. 726 on the ground, averaged about 5 a carry, 6 touchdowns, very balanced. Even in the backfield group, a lot of different guys that get handles. First handoff on this drive, charges forward. That's actually David Smith getting the first handoff. He gets about 2 and then is dropped down there.
Smith was actually listed as a wide receiver on the Benedict website. Converted over to running back. He's had 433 yards of his own this season.
Might just bring in an extra element, maybe catching passes out of the backfield, trying to sneak him down the way. I mean, he's a pretty big body back there, 5'8", 180. Now Ocean again, feeling some pressure. He's able to escape it and get a yard. I mean, that could have easily been another big-time loss. And right now the speed of Wingate is outdueling the Benedict size.
Yeah, this Benedict team, they gotta have an answer for Wingate's edge rushers. Guy Taylor, Eliu Lipscomb, they can just be game wreckers. But a nice job. We've seen Wingate have some issues with quarterbacks who can run. Ocean isn't a run-first quarterback, but he can run when he needs to.
Very much improviser style of quarterback. And Ocean will now just take a quick throw to the left side of the field. Trying to make a couple man miss is Troy Hillman, but it's a group of Bulldogs that surround him and get him down well short of the first down.
And that's what you gotta love if you're Wingate defensive coordinator Travis Knight. All your guys swarming to the football, putting a hat on a hat, and forcing Benedict to punt.
Especially because, I mean, that's another group that's been very banged up for Wingate this year. It has been that secondary, but finally starting to get everybody back a little bit. We've already saw who thought their key player was, Brandon Perry making big plays. So now be a punt for Colton Ford. Ford just as good in the special teams marker. Usually when you rely on the defense, you need a good punter, averaging about 40 a punt. Here's another booming punt, almost was blocked though. Fair catch by Snap, and Wingate will take back over almost in plus territory. I'm surprised we didn't see a flag for Ford being ran into.
I was thinking the same thing you were, Landon, but Wingate has just been the more aggressive team here in this one, and it's paying off so far.
Almost like you get that sense that this team, this Wingate team, very well aware of how this crowd feels after a year ago, right? They expect them to come in here I think they kind of feel like they need to make up for what happened a year ago. And I'm sure Benedict's getting tired of facing these South Atlantic Conference teams in the playoffs. A couple years ago, they had to face LR, who ended up going on a great big run. The year before that, they ran into a Wingate team where they lost in their first round game. Here's a check down to Appling on the left side. Great job by Holmes kind of getting out of the pocket. Dumps it down for a first down to start out this drive for the Dogs.
Appling just leaking out of the backfield. He had a lot of space to make something happen there. As Wingate brings Jesse Kleinsmith on. Kleinsmith took a big shot last week in Wingate's victory over Mars Hill.
Big frame, 6'6", 240 from Kleinsmith. So Holmes still with Appling to his left. Holmes looking across the middle, going through his reads. Great defense there from Benedict. Pass knocked away.
And that was a good ball by Holmes, but just better defense from Jamal Sam there, the senior out of New Orleans.
Great coverage. You could maybe make the argument the ball just a tad bit too late. But hey, I'm with you. I think that was just Sam doing a great job of keeping up in-man coverage, knocking that ball away. So 2nd and 10, just outside of the 50. In motion is Estranza, handoff to Appling. Appling trying to create some more space. He's got a lot of room to work with up there so far. At least makes this a 3rd and manageable.
We talked about in the open, this Wingate offensive line finally healthy. Once again, been banged up all year, and they're just being road raiders thus far.
See those two kind of talking about was a little bit of a difficulty at that mesh point there between those two in the handoff, but they made it work. Holmes kind of talking to Appling. So now 3rd and manageable, like we mentioned. Holmes will drop back, looking to his left, finds Kleinsmith on a great route, beats the linebacker, and picks up the first down.
Ever since that fumble by Wingate, it's been close to flawless on the offensive side of the football. And we mentioned that this is a very good Benedict defense, but this is probably the best offense they faced all season.
Absolutely. I mean, look right there. I mean, that is a beautiful route there by Kleinsmith. Just got himself wide open, a big target for Holmes to find. And converting the first down again. Wingate, a little bit of a tight end screen this time. I was about to say it looked like he bounced, but Kleinsmith's going to try to take off anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if that was by design. Holmes just didn't see anything he liked and just darted the ball or what there. But Wingate lives to fight another day as they bring Tanner Mays into the game. Mays has really come onto the scene for Wingate as kind of that tight end number 2.
And more of that receiving back kind of guy too. Different look. You've seen a lot of those molds of tight ends here down the stretch last couple of years. So now a little bit of a pistol look for the Dogs. Holmes will drop back. He's looking right. He's looking for the end zone. Himes wide open, diving play, and another touchdown from Holmes to Himes.
Just complete busted coverage from the Benedict secondary. Himes wide open, lays out, and makes a great grab.
I mean, it was literally a streak just right past Sam, who just had great coverage a couple of plays ago, and another touchdown for the Dogs, trying to send a message today. So Bonesteel back out there for another PAT. His kick is up, and it's good through the uprights and puts the Dogs up front 14-0 against the team that prides themselves on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, this, I don't think has been what Benedict was expecting. I mean, even with Xavier Pugh out, this Wingate offense really has picked up right where they've left off. You haven't really noticed that he's not out there. And a nice job by Wingate's O-line holding up and giving Holmes time to deliver a dot to Jalen Himes.
I mean, Himes has been almost unguardable this year for many different teams. He's gone over the century mark in multiple games so far this year. And he has been a key target.
Wingate's just going to hope they can get him to stay, because I have no doubt that he's going to be getting some FCS offers.
That is for sure. And he's definitely capable of doing it. I mean, you look throughout this season, he has made incredible plays and would be a magnificent slot receiver for anyone. So another kickoff, and Benedict, again, has got to find some offense here on their next possession. Ocean hasn't even been able to complete a forward pass yet.
Benedict, I mean, you have to sustain a long drive here. You just got to keep the ball out of Wingate's hands and give your defense time to rest here, because they've been on the field pretty much all game.
Been on the field the whole game and facing constant pressure and constant explosive plays. Haven't even been able to slow down the running game, even with Appling in there. So now we'll see Tristan Morgan out there with Ocean. Morgan will be on the left side. In motion, a little pop pass here, but penalty flag is thrown first.
And I like what Benedict was trying to do, get Wingate's offense going side, or Wingate's defense going side to side. See what the call here is. That's what you can't do if you're Benedict. Getting behind the chains against a defense that has already had success against you.
So yeah, just a little pop pass to Noah Johnson, and like you're saying, just trying to get something, right? And then you have a false start that puts it back. Now you got to start behind the chains, and that's never the recipe for success against any team, much less a very solid defensive group in Wingate. Here's the handoff to Morgan, trying to find some space. He plunges forward, a nice little gain there to kind of make up for that false start.
Yeah, Morgan was able to get the penalty yardage back. Looked like Benedict, I think, had an extra lineman there. Really just trying to get something going for this offensive line.
Yeah, Malcolm Marcittle is in there. He's wearing number 87. He's listed as an offensive lineman, though. And here's that pop pass one more time to Johnson, but a lot of pressure up the field, and Johnson made a great cut right behind where Wingate had kind of brought the pressure from. He made it pretty close for a 3rd and short.
Wingate seems to be all over it, but just a great play by Johnson. Got back to the right and was somehow able to get out of that one. Because that one looked like that was going to be another loss for Benedict.
Johnson, the speedster, making some plays here early. Johnson again in motion. Ocean with a spin move there on that read option look. Lipscomb was coming in hot. Ocean had to spin off of it, but again, still lost yards, and he also lost his helmet.
And just, you got to give credit to this Wingate defense. They have done such an excellent job, and that'll bring up 4th down and short, and Benedict is going to bring on the punt team.
I know the Wingate fans are very much aware that this happened a year ago as well. It dominated the first half and then came out sloppy in the second, still very far away from halftime. But if you can punch in another, I mean, you could almost make the case putting this game away early. You're going up 3 scores in the first quarter.
Especially with, we know how good Virginia Union's offense was last year, and another penalty flag flies.
So a false start on the punt unit, not exactly what you want, and this has possibly been the worst case scenario so far for Benedict.
Yeah, Benedict came out and got punched in the mouth, and they kind of quit beating themselves with these penalties.
Smith comes charging into the block, but blown up in the backfield back to the line of scrimmage. This is one of the first stops we've seen.
You got to keep stacking the box and get pressure on Wingate's offensive line.
Jones over Casey Bolton, 270 in there, something out and down.
Appling and Pew this season for Wingate kind of been that smash and dash. Pew more of the power back, and Appling more of a speed back, putting his speed to work there. Ended up getting 6 yards.
Even showing he could be a little bit of that power back too, right? Even, a little bit smaller frame than Pew, but charging hard with those legs. Picking up some extra yards. Holmes, quick drop back's got a lot of pressure. Another screen, and he'll just dump it down to the feet of Jacob Johnson. Running back in, taking place of Appling.
And I think the referees are going to have a discussion here about grounding.
It was a screen play, but I think the way that it was thrown away there by Holmes might cause some issues.
And they are going to put the marker down.
Interesting. So it will be an intentional grounding there, but I'm surprised they ended up discussing that. I mean, it was a screen pass to Johnson, but I guess it just did not get close enough to his area for it to be called an illegal pass, or a legal pass, I should say.
And now this is going to put Wingate way behind the sticks. 3rd down and 15. Really need to get off the field right here if you're the Tigers.
This could be one of those stops that they've needed, especially after the crowd kind of got back into it after the last possession by the defense. But Holmes has been consistent through the air so far. You got to find 9 in blue, that's for sure. It was on the far side, one-on-one coverage on the top of your screen. Holmes drops back, looks left, got more pressure, hounding him, and he can barely get it away. There's the pressure we've been expecting from the Tigers today.
Demetrius Patterson, the linebacker, came in there off that left side, and Holmes was just lucky to get that one away.
Didn't even bring much of a blitz. It was just the front four for Benedict that was able to get pressure, as you said, specifically being Patterson. And now Teeter will have his first punt. He's also averaging about 40 a punt. He's had 6 punts of 50-plus yards. Boots this one away. Beautiful spiraling punt, comes down and trying to make a catch on it on the far side of the field. Deshaun Mingo. A diving play. That had to be real scary for the Benedict faithful on the far side of the field.
Yeah, your heart's in your throat there when he goes to the ground to get that one. Fortunate that it was a clean catch. Wasn't pretty, but he caught it, so Benedict will set up shop at their own 31.
I understand his decision-making. You don't want that one to bounce, maybe keep going further. End over and punt. It's not exactly the best-case scenario for the Tigers, but got to be a little bit more careful with the ball. Now a quarterback change. Jackson Jensen, the redshirt freshman, will come in, maybe trying to give a different look out there for the Tigers. But it'll be a handoff, and it is an absolute shot taken in the backfield before Smith can even catch his breath.
This Benedict offensive line just had no answers for Wingate's front, but Jensen on the season 21 of 45, so he's not really been much better in terms of completion percentage. This is a Benedict team that's worst in the SIAC in terms of completion percentage. Threw for 175 yards and 2 scores on the season.
I think just trying to get a different face out there, but this has been the most consistent play, at least today. It's been Noah Johnson on the pop pass jet sweeps, but no room to work with there.
Maybe we see them go to almost a 2-quarterback system, kind of like what Wingate did last year with Brooks Bentley and Noah Bell. Bringing Bell in for the design quarterback runs. Maybe we see that with Ocean and Jensen.
So far, it's just been some handoffs and then that jet sweep, of course, which goes down as a pass because it's going forward. So now 3rd and 14, 7:58 left in the second quarter. Jensen just lobs one down the field. A lot of contact, and Perry will be called for the defensive pass interference.
That's pass interference. All day he never looked back until after the flag was being thrown. So Wingate went from getting off the field to an automatic first down for the Tigers. Wingate crowd not happy about that one.
So the man that was supposed to be the big difference maker does make a big difference, but for Benedict this time with the defensive pass interference down the field for the biggest gain of the Tigers' day so far. They're not complaining though, and let's see if Jensen can continue to kind of build onto this. That was a pretty good looking ball, just a little bit behind. Morgan gets a handoff, but again blown up in the backfield.
And now this game's starting to get chippy. Big 77 Isaiah Turner, the redshirt junior, jawing with one of Wingate's defensive players.
Diego Aviles right there, and now he's getting talking to about his coach. Coach Jordan right there in the gray, not happy with his defense after those extracurriculars there. No gain on that last carry from Morgan. So on this 2nd and 10, in motion there is Simmons, but whistles are blown before it. And it's delay a game there on Jensen. I'm not so sure that one's completely on him. He was looking at the sidelines for quite some time there, just trying to get the play in.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting when they blew that dead. I never saw a flag anywhere. I figured that Benedict was going to call a timeout.
But I guess because already having to take a timeout earlier in this half, I guess trying to hold on to them in case they can make something shake to close out this first half. If you can score on this drive, get a stop. Trips to the left. Jensen will drop back, throw across the middle, and sails it. That one definitely in harm's way once it goes over the head of the intended receiver there in Mekhi Jones.
Not a good throw by Jensen, but Benedict has been taking a lot of time to get these plays off. They took the play clock down all the way to 1 there. They made a late substitution. With a young quarterback, I'd figure you'd like to get that play off a little bit quicker, not have the play clock on your back.
Just seems like everyone's a little bit out of motion here with Jensen checking into the game. Now he'll throw it far side of the field. Ephraim Wright jumps in front of it. He's got some room to work with, but there's an interception and a turnover for the Wingate defense.
Jensen just short-armed that one. It was right to Ephraim Wright. Just a very poor read from the redshirt freshman out of Tampa, Jackson Jensen.
So Wright almost had an interception while laying down on the ground on a couple possessions ago. This time, though, gets one gift wrapped to him. Jensen with a little bit of pressure, just kind of sails it, but it was a great read there from Wright. Was supposed to be in that shallow cloud again, but dropped back, read the eyes of the quarterback, takes it away. Holmes play action pass. Wingate maybe trying to take a shot here after the turnover. Far side of the field for Jackson. And it's incomplete. Just threw it out in the outstretched arms there of Jackson.
6:21 left to go here in the second quarter. Benedict will get the ball after halftime, but it feels like they need to put some points on the scoreboard. And they really just have to string together some stops on defense.
So now on the 2nd and 10 after the incompletion over to Jackson. Appling almost at 100 yards in the first half. Gets the carry here, but he's tracked down from behind.
Credit to Benedict there on that right side. Tenson Hadfield got beat there. That allowed for the tackle for no gain.
Noah Kacha, one of the best defensive ends for Benedict. Leads the team in 21 tackles for loss for the Tigers. Adds another one to his total there. It was at least close to the line of scrimmage. Not sure if they gave it a loss or not. So now another 3rd and long after Wingate, as you mentioned a couple possessions ago, had been so well about staying on pace. Holmes just has to loft this one down the field, just out of reach for Jalen Himes. And after a couple of good possessions and a couple of good blocking schemes up front, Holmes has been dealing with some pressure here the last couple of possessions.
Benedict has done a much better job getting pressure, and I think that really affected Holmes. Saw him have to climb the ladder in the pocket, and didn't look like he was the most comfortable getting that throw off.
And he honestly still had a chance to complete that pass, too, just a little bit too far out in front of Himes. Sideline, and then he's pushed out of bounds.
Wingate crowd wanting a hold there, but a nice job by Benedict. It was a high snap. Jensen was able to corral it and then get it out to his back, who had a lot of space on that right side.
Omar Ba, the only one left on the defensive side there for defense, pushed out Smith. And now a great read there from Jensen, and he's got a ton of room. Back-to-back big plays there from Benedict. Now using this running game all of a sudden to kind of boost this offense.
And that seems to be what's working best for Benedict, those read options. Fooled me, fooled the Wingate defense right there. And this is one of the best drives I think that Benedict's really had today.
Absolutely, they're getting close to crossing midfield. They haven't done that on a full drive, except for when they've started on the other side of midfield in plus territory. Quick throw out there to Johnson. And the man that's been kind of quiet all throughout the regular season comes into today, been the top target so far today for these Benedict quarterbacks.
That's a great job by him. Knowing where the marker is on the field just makes that extra effort to dive for the first. And now Jaquan Edwards and company flying into the backfield.
I mean, they call him Bone for a reason. He's trying to break a bone. I mean, he is flying in to the backfield here with great anticipation, making a ton of plays.
And this is a veteran front seven for Wingate. Ryan Green, Jaquan Edwards, been here a long time.
That's saying it nicely, I guess, especially for Mr. Jaquan Edwards. 2nd and long after being pushed behind the sticks. Green brings pressure along with Edwards. We just talked about them. They were actually kind of knocked down pretty well. The blitz was picked up well. Jensen just kind of airmailed the throw there to Trey Simmons once more.
Benedict's got to get that snap down, though. We've seen several times now where the bad snap pulls the quarterback Jensen off his rhythm and just that one too high for the 6-foot Trey Simmons. Trey Simmons actually no stranger to Wingate in the South Atlantic Conference. Started his career at Tusculum, was the Mountain Freshman of the Year a couple years back.
So now 3rd and long behind the sticks. Jensen thought about it. Now he'll just take it himself. He'll get close to the first down marker, and in fact, he will pick it up. With how quick Jensen dropped down, I think that was a QB draw all the way, and that looked like a pretty rough spot there. It looked like Jensen had it for sure.
Yeah, I think you got to go for it here if you're Benedict. Certainly looked to us like he picked up the first down.
I guess maybe they're saying, it's where you start your slide, but Jensen wasn't even trying to start a slide. He was getting tackled.
He was diving.
So I'm not sure about that spot, but now Benedict gonna go for it, 4th and short. Pop pass to Johnson. Johnson has it and a little bit more. It was a wildcat look, bringing in another quarterback. Bryce Conover came in for Benedict, at least just making Wingate think about it, and I think that's what left the edge so open.
And a great job by this Benedict offensive line, a big group, but getting out and moving to that right side, as that will take us to the 2-minute timeout. Benedict looking to get their first points on the board as they trail 17-0. You're watching the D2 Football Playoffs on ESPN+.
First and 10 at the 27-yard line.
Back live here, Jansen was looking for the handoff to Smith, but Smith was preparing to block the whole way there. So miscommunication in the backfield, and again, the Tigers got to start behind the chains.
And coming off of a timeout, that's something that really can't afford to have happen, as Wingate's got an injured player, but Benedict here feels like a touchdown would go a long way just to get some confidence back in your offense.
And it's Elihu Lipscomb, the talented freshman, so we'll take an injury timeout here with the Dogs leading at 17-0 here on ESPN. Back life here, and it's a shot out of the injury timeout down the field. A lot of hand fighting over there in the corner. No flags, however.
I like the no call there. Collins never looked back, but there was hand fighting going on both ways. I think that's a good play on here by our officiating crew.
Yeah, Malachi Jones seemed to have just as much of a hold on Collins as Collins did Jones. Lipscomb was able to slowly work his way off the field, really hobbled, but he's in the tent now. And Wingate will just have to try to find some sort of pressure without him here on this 3rd and long. Zinchen drops back, throws across the middle. One of the first good balls he's thrown today. Looked nice and clean in the pocket, confident in the pocket. Very close to that first down marker once more for the Tigers.
But I think once again, he's going to be marked just short. Looks like Benedict's going to keep the offense on the field here. But I mean, you're down 17-0, haven't scored points today. I feel like you got to take the points here.
Yeah, except you've already missed your 1 field goal attempt of the day. You've been kind of back and forth on your field goal kickers throughout the year, but Ocean comes back into the game to run a QB sneak, and I am not sure he got there because that was a long yard, maybe 1.5 yards, and they went for the QB sneak and did not get it. So no points for the Tigers.
I mean, that play call makes sense. Your O-line is massive, but just a great push by Wingate's front.
Kind of forced Ocean to have to go to the outside edge, and the linebackers had really set the edge well. Knocked them down, you didn't get much of a gain, and now Wingate will take over with 51 seconds left. Do you see the Dogs being aggressive here or just kind of take it to the halftime break?
I think you could see them be aggressive. Yeah, they're on the 18-yard line, but they also have all 3 of their timeouts in their back pocket. And Wingate coming out here 5 wide,
Yeah,
empty backfield.
I think there's our answer we were talking about. If Wingate was going to stay aggressive, they will here. Just don't want to turn the ball over so deep in your own territory. Holmes looking across the middle, didn't have his first couple of reads, now will just take off himself. A great runner himself, but he'll scamper out of bounds for a 15-yard gain on the first play here.
That's what Holmes does so well, has a really good internal clock, knows when he's got to get out and run. And only 7 seconds off the clock on that one.
He's also very much improviser type of quarterback, has made a ton of plays on his feet so far, a couple of hurdles into the end zone on his year, and he'll do it again once more, but now Wingate more than likely will have to take a timeout, and they do, as Holmes just has to scamper away from the pressure. Not as quite a big of a gain here, gets close to that first down marker.
But I like the pressure by Benedict. They're forcing Holmes to have to make plays with his feet and not beat him through the air, where he's the most dangerous.
So now you're just outside of the 50. You know, Bone Steel, I mean, his long is 47, so he can really test it. Didn't have a great look his last time from very similar range. I think you either take a shot here. What are you thinking here, Thomas?
And it's also going to be trickier with the field damp now. I mean, we already saw the turf monster get him once, like you just said. Now it's even slipperier of conditions. I feel like you got to take a shot. I mean, you're spreading Benedict's defense out already with the 5 wide. I think you just throw one up and let Himes or Jackson or Estranza 1 go get it. And if you turn it over, really, it's an arm punt.
I think I agree with that decision there. We'll see if the Wingate play callers have that same sort of decision. Landon Harbin, Thomas 4 here with you. First round matchup between Wingate and Benedict. The Dogs have been dominating here in the first half if you're just now joining us. Couple of touchdowns from Holmes to Himes. And then a field goal that puts it where we are at 17-0. Holmes drops back. Now he'll take a deep shot looking for Himes once more. Himes gets twisted around. A lot of contact, and a flag is down at about the 45.
I didn't see what the flag was necessarily for. Could have been the area of defensive holding, maybe. I was more focused on the throw downfield.
It looked like Isaiah Isidore and Carlos Estranza, and that is who will get it. Isidore was grabbing Estranza early in the route, and then those two got tangled up further down on the route, but they got Isidore early in that one, in that slot position, the free safety, Isidore, gets called out.
And the rain has just started to really come down now.
I don't even understand where it's coming from. It looks like clear skies to us, but dark cloud, I guess, to our right. But all of a sudden, it is pouring with some sunshine. Oh, a very confusing day. This ball a little bit short, and it bounces into the hands of Jackson. He wants to say that it was a catch, but it looked like there was a little bit of a bounce.
It looked to me watching that live like it did bounce into the hands. I'm not sure if one referee ruled it a catch and the other didn't, but nonetheless, they are going to stick with an incomplete pass.
So now 22 seconds left here in the first half. Time's starting to become a little bit of an enemy. Maybe decide to go for the field goal here, down, getting closer and closer to the halftime break. Holmes takes the snap, dodges another sack, throws one on the run. A beautiful completion there to Kleinsmith. The clock will stop here for a second to move the chains. The Dogs got to move fast with 15 seconds. So in the hurry offense, Holmes will look right side. Definitely a miscommunication. Himes and Holmes have not been on the same page here after the first two touchdown passes.
And I'm kind of surprised Wingate didn't take a timeout there. Yeah, the clock stops, move the chains, but I figured, especially with that low pass, I kind of figured that they would take a timeout because they still have two remaining, but now it's either a Hail Mary or an extremely long field goal.
Might even just see a handoff here to Appling. He's gotten a couple of good handoffs. He could break one. You never really know. Might even whip out a screen. There are a couple different options you really could go here, but it looks like Wingate might just be going all or nothing here. Not going for the field goal attempt. In fact, I don't even think they even thought about it at all. So now just 4 verticals straight to the end zone. Holmes just has to get away, and he is dragged down, but there is a penalty flag. This could make the ending of this very interesting, depending on what the call is.
I thought that they were going to call Tennyson Hadfield the right tackle for Wingate with the hold.
Looks like that's what Wingate's agreeing with, and they're just going to head to the locker rooms.
That's exactly what they call. And overall first half, just a dominant performance by Wingate thus far. Benedict has had no answers to this Wingate attack, and we kind of thought that if Wingate could get off to a strong start, it was going to be very hard for Benedict to keep up.
So some quick stats as we go into the locker room. Darius Ocean finishes 3 of 8 with 12 yards. He was replaced by Jackson Jensen, 3 of 7, 23 yards and a touchdown. Noah Johnson's been the best receiver for Benedict on 27 yards, or 22 yards on just 4 catches. And surprisingly, it's been Jayshon Appling for Wingate, really dominating on the ground. 79 yards here in the first half. Holmes completing 11 of his passes for 177 and 2 touchdowns. Quickly, what have you liked from the Dogs here today in the first half?
Really, they haven't skipped a beat on offense with the running game. Yeah, Appling had a fumble on the very first play, but he's just had such a great response. A lot of younger players would beat themselves up and let the mistakes snowball, but he hasn't done that. And just Holmes and Himes, once again, that lethal duo for Wingate.
So
halftime break. What they've done all season.
Halftime break here from Irwin Belk Stadium. First round of the NCAA playoffs here on ESPN+. Wingate leads it 17-0. Live here set to go for the second half, and all of a sudden, very different looking weather report after the rain, and all of a sudden come pouring down here at Irwin Belk Stadium. The fans almost gone completely, but we're ready for the second half kickoff. Thorne sends this one away. It is returnable, and taking it out, jogging forward, is Benedict, but a big hit is sent. That's a good start. Wingate needs the energy. Don't play well in the rain. They've proven that this year, and that's a good start there. But there's a lot on the line here for the Dogs. Also Benedict, but Wingate hosting another game. We obviously saw them come up short, but it's been quite some time since they've had their last home win here in the playoffs.
Yeah, Wingate has an all-time playoff record of 4-6, but they're 1-3 at home, and their only win being the first win that they got in program history in the playoffs all the way back in 2010, 63-41 against Morehouse.
So a little bit different score than in that game, but Wingate trying to have the same result. Ephraim Wright again making a great play off the edge, almost coming up with another big play.
Wright's been all over the place for Wingate today, and really that's kind of been the story of the afternoon for the Tigers.
But Jensen getting the start here in the second half. It was Darius Ocean that got the original start, got off to a slow start, and then was replaced in the second quarter. Takes the snap on an empty backfield, a quick throw. Brandon Perry jumps the route again, and actually Omar Baugh intercepted it. Holy cow, what a play! What did we just witness?
I can't wait to watch the replay of this one. Wow.
I'm not even really sure what happened. All I know is Perry got to the ball first. Baugh ended up with it in his hands and took it to the end zone.
What a start to the second half for this Wingate defense.
I'm assuming Perry either knocked it away and then kept it up. Here's a look. Yes, it looks like it went off either his foot or when he was spinning around, kept the ball in the air. What a reaction there by Baugh. My goodness, all of a sudden Wingate has all the momentum back on their side. Benedict had the ball. Looked like maybe they could have scored going into that drive. And then boom, snap of fingers, Wingate has extended the lead.
And just, wow, I've got no words. What a play by Wingate's defense. And that's exactly what you could not have happened if you were Benedict, giving up points and a turnover on drive number 1.
Just feels like everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong for the Tigers today. And the quick score update as we get ready for the next kickoff. Albany State has now taken the lead over Valdosta State, 35-30. West Florida is in a tight one again with North Greenville. That was very similar to how it was in the regular season. Newberry leads Kentucky State 38-24. That's some of the big games. Kutztown's already punched their tickets to Assumption, upsetting IUP up top of the bracket. So already seeing some upsets. Could see some more. Virginia Union trailing by 3 currently, and Johnson C. Smith is trailing by 14 points.
And Johnson C. Smith's going to go down. There's under a minute left in that one, so what an upset from Frostburg State.
So already seeing some upsets. Probably won't see one here today, barring some miracle. Wingate leading it by 24, and G.W. Clemmer gets back involved in the kickoff and sends a message there to the Tigers.
That's just what G.W. Clemmer does. He is a hard hitter, and he proved that right there. Wow. You could hear the crowd just go like, ooh.
Whatever cloud is left, you could hear him after that one. A lunch pail guy, G.W. Clemmer. Shows up, just does his job. He's gotten a couple of minutes on the defensive side, but his pride himself on being a special teams guy has made plays like that all year long. And Jensen back out after his second interception, which was a wild interception, and after a weird snap, it almost looked like it was a direct snap to Morgan. Mostly just because it was so low of a snap.
Benedict has had trouble with the snap all day today.
But either way, Morgan was able to at least get 2 yards out of that. Could have been another loss. Got it to 2nd and 8 on the 16 after the big hit on the kickoff from Clemmer. Another handoff to Morgan, trying to follow his blocks, but then is tripped up. Not a lot of room to work with.
Yeah, it's going to be some tricky conditions here in the second half with the wet surface, and 3rd and somewhat manageable here. 3rd and medium for the Tigers.
So definitely faced some harder 3rd downs, to say the least, so far today has Benedict. But on the 3rd and 6, it's a screen pass that Morgan is never able to turn up the field. It looked like Wingate sniffed it out from the beginning. Manju Berthet read it the whole way and was able to catch up to Morgan, who then tripped up on the turf.
Kind of surprised they went with a screen pass there. I feel like you've got to get one close to the sticks where your wide receiver can make a play, and Benedict's going to have to punt once again, and it feels like if Wingate scores here a touchdown, that's ball game.
And it also kind of looked like Jensen didn't even try to look off the screen. I mean, he caught the snap, and then again the special teams are making incredible plays for Wingate. They have been dominating on all facets of the game today, and it's Glimmer involved once more.
Offense, defense, special teams, Wingate has just been dominant in all 3 phases of this football game. You couldn't have asked for a much better start, and I think that Wingate knew what people were saying about them. Oh, they lost last year. Will they do it again this year? And I think they've taken that personally.
And even responding well to, oh, this team is too injury prone. They have too many guys down. Well, turns out you come in today a lot more healthier than anyone thought. You even have a backup running back in who's playing just as well as the starter has all day, all year long so far. And Appling back in there right behind Holmes. He'll get the handoff here, go left side, break a couple tackles, and then is tripped up by the ankles there once he got up to the 2nd level.
Wingate really just hasn't missed a beat. 13 first downs to just 6 for Benedict. Benedict being held to 1 of 10 on 3rd down.
I mean, this is about...
But I think the real big difference is Wingate, 7.9 yards per play, Benedict just 2.
And this is about what Wingate showed in their regular season concluder against Mars Hill, right? Really dominated in that game. Appling trying to look for some space. The scoreboard doesn't quite show how that game was for Wingate against Mars Hill. It was a lot of garbage time touchdowns, but Benedict's begging for that one to be another fumble, but didn't receive it. They're going to say Appling was down first.
But Wingate, that was a very good performance by them in that Mars Hill matchup. That game was really never in doubt for them.
And I think that's what you're seeing today is 2 different ends to your season, right? You had Benedict come up just short in a very close contest in their conference championship when they were kind of rolling through a win streak. To lose like that, and for Wingate, opposite. They are coming into today with a win streak, playing at the best they have had all year, but now we see the conditions kind of hurt the Dogs here, and this one might be a turnover, and it is. So finally, the Benedict defense causes some havoc.
Wingate went under center, which you pretty much never see them do, and a little bit of a mishandle on the snap from Acosta to Holmes.
Holmes was kind of looking at Acosta as they ran off the field, and I think they were just saying, I just lost control of the football. The wet conditions, not sure that was either of them's fault. I think the ball just slipped out. But either way, even with that fumble, with the score you have, this just pins back Benedict even more. Nice momentum builder, but still leading by 24 here. Wingate kind of okay with that outcome, all things considered. But here's Smith trying to get to the edge, able to get to the sideline, cut it upfield a little bit, get really close to that first down on the first play.
Looks like they're going to mark him a little bit short, but still gets you out from behind your own 10-yard line. Gives you more space to work with.
How about the story of the unknowns coming into today? It's been the backup running backs, the guys we didn't expect to have big games coming into today. We thought it was going to be Tristan Morgan being the hot hand, but it's been David Smith for Benedict, and same thing for Wingate. We thought it was going to be Xavier Pugh, didn't dress, and it's been Jay-Sean Appling having an incredible day. This pass from Jensen feels a little bit rushed. He kind of looks a little antsy in the pocket.
And I think that this Wingate defense, they've gotten so much pressure on the quarterback today, it's kind of affecting Jensen mentally. I mean, hasn't seen too much action this year. 21 of 45, and he's only a redshirt freshman.
But has shown some flashes of big-time plays, had a couple of runs. Now there's a great throw down the sideline and completed. Perfect throw in between the gaps of the zones from Jansen. First big completion.
And that was just perfect timing right there. Much better response from Jensen after that misthrow.
So 1st and 10 after the biggest completion of the day for Jensen. Just a handoff up the middle. Not much room to work with for Smith, and he's taken down after a gain of a yard.
I feel like if you're Benedict, maybe you got to start trying to run outside the tackles because Wingate's just making them pay for running it right up the middle.
Another handoff. Smith bounces it to the outside, trying to get to the sideline once more. Makes one cut, moves up the field, and another big gain for David Smith.
A really nice job by Smith. Not sure if that was by design going to the outside, but he made it work. And Benedict into Wingate territory for the first time in a while.
17-yard gain there from Smith. Now a quick throw to the outside here to Simmons. Wingate's asking for a hold, but either way, great pursuit by the Wingate defense.
I mean, the hold really didn't affect Wingate there. No gain.
So then trying to get Simmons a little bit more involved today, but just has not had a lot of room to work with. Bunch to the right side of Jensen, but Jensen a tough snap. Now he'll just fire one down the field, and Brandon Perry almost making another big-time play.
Perry gonna wish he could have that one back. Hit him right in the hands. That's one that Jensen's fortunate not to have picked off.
And that one just, it looked like they were trying to set up a screen here to the right side, but because of that errant snap, Jensen just had to throw one up, and it almost cost him. So 3rd and 10, again for the Tigers. Jensen takes the snap, trying to step up in the pocket. Now he'll just look to take it himself, trying to make some room, but not much. Got pretty close to that first down marker, but he's going to be a couple yards short.
Jensen never really looked confident on that run. He kind of hesitated, pulled up a little bit, and that cost him probably a couple yards. But this is 4th down territory now for the Tigers. 8:30 left in the 3rd. Down by 24.
So very similar look to a couple of plays ago, and they'll just hand it off to Morgan, but he is well short of the first down. A great stand again from the Wingate defense.
I don't get that play call by Benedict at all. You spread them out with all those wide receivers outside, and then you just run it up the middle, especially with how good Wingate's front has been against your runs up the middle today. That's a head scratcher for me.
Also, not to mention, Jensen has played really well in the quarterback reads as well. He's had a couple of good reads that have ended up being some pretty big gains, and he's got 26 yards on the ground. Long as 17, that 17 was on a quarterback read where he kept it, got to the outside, had a big gain. But again, weird play call there, and so now Wingate will take over on the other side of this media timeout. We'll step aside with them. Wingate leads it 24-0 here in the first round of the NCAA playoffs on ESPN.
respect. It's the name of the game. The NCAA thanks official equipment suppliers, Smitty Official Apparel, and Wilson Sporting Goods for their support of NCAA championships. Their contributions help enhance the educational and athletic experience of nearly 500,000 NCAA student athletes. There's a new era for college sports. NCAA student athletes can now receive financial benefits directly from their schools. They are also providing support that extends beyond the game with elevated health and well-being services and degree completion programs. For up to 10 years, learn more at ncaa.org/change. After the ball carrier.
Back live here, first handoff on this drive there from Appling, and just gets a couple before being taken down. So I think we see a little bit more of a conservative outlook here in this second half in comparison to that first half with the 24-point lead, Thomas.
I think so. Also, the fact that, the weather been unpredictable, rain seems to have all but stopped for now.
Another handoff to Appling, and he has a ton of room. Jay-Sean Appling has been a one-man wrecking crew with help from the big boys up front.
I mean, no need to be aggressive throwing the football, and Appling can just do that.
I mean, you talked about what Wingate's been averaging per play. They just had plenty of room to work with. Now over the century mark on the ground. It's just been that kind of day for the Dogs. Holmes pump fakes, looks down the field, looking for Estranza, and Estranza almost with the one-handed snag.
Almost a great play from Estranza. Holmes took a big shot there after he released the football. But he appears to be just fine. That's really the first big hit we've seen Benedict lay on him today.
Had the one sack in the first half, but that was about it. It's just been very shocking, I think, to say the least, and this performance we've seen, really with how well Wingate's played and how much Benedict has struggled. Not exactly what was to be expected coming into today, as Holmes keeps this one, goes to the left side, and he might have even lost a yard there on that one.
It definitely been unexpected. I mean, I was listening to the D2 Football Super Region 2 podcast, and they thought that this game could be the best game throughout the entire region this weekend. But it's just been utter domination from Wingate.
I mean, it looks like the best game might be looks like what Wingate will play next. Albany State, Valdosta State. Just been going back and forth with each other. Albany State currently leads it 35-30. Holmes with another great find to Himes. Those two struggled to close the half, but start out here in the second half. Himes again.
What a bounce-back performance this has been for Jalen Himes. Didn't have a great week last week. I say that, he went over 100 yards on 3 catches, but he had several uncharacteristic drops last week, but he has been otherworldly here in this one.
I mean, that's his first catch where it doesn't result in a touchdown. He had 2 catches before that for 2 touchdowns. Appling trying to get his first touchdown, but it gets eaten up by the turf monster there.
That seems like it's been Benedict's best friend today.
It's now a couple of times. Happened to Bone Steel on his field goal attempt. And now here, as Appling was trying to charge forward, and now it looks like Wingate bringing in the big man package. They were working on this in practice, actually, this week. It'll be Appling back there in the Wildcat formation. Appling can't handle the snap, and he pays the price.
Wingate, not the biggest big man package. I mean, I don't know if you saw this, but they brought in a linebacker, Jaquan Edwards, to have a carry out of Wildcat last week.
Well, quickly, Elijah Holmes has now entered back into the huddle after that one. Not exactly what Wingate was looking for there. I mean, I'd like to mix it up, show it off, but I think Appling not exactly prepared with the weather. You can't predict that. Struggles taking that snap, and now 3rd and 7 from the 7. Holmes having to scramble around, trying to make some plays on the run, was looking for Jackson, but Jackson thought there was someone else behind him. Let the pass go, and it will end in an interception. So Holmes trying to make some magic, but can't do so, and ends up turning the ball over.
And Holmes just looked kind of confused there in the pocket, was running all over the place, and finally tried to get it to Jackson, but those two weren't on the same page once again.
An interesting force there from Holmes. Might even see him slide down, maybe take the field goal, but I get you're just trying to make a play. You could argue play might have been there if, you know, him and Jackson were on the same page, but when the ball was coming towards Jackson way, he kind of turned and was looking to see if someone else was behind him. So Jensen again will get another chance off of another Wingate turnover. Smith just trying to find some space to work with. He somehow made that a positive gain.
I really don't know how. Went to the left, cut back to the right, and was able to find just a little bit of a hole.
So just got a yard, but it was a hard-fought yard at that. 3:40 left in the third quarter. Benedict still looking for their first points of the day. Jensen out wide. A quick little check down on the bubble screen to the left. Troy Hillman, who's been rather quiet today, makes a catch, scoots up the sideline, makes it a 3rd and short.
Hillman on the season been one of the better receivers for Benedict. 6 touchdowns, 254 yards coming into this one.
And he's been quiet. I mean, haven't really got him involved. I think that's just because, like this, Jensen has been dealing with pressure, and Manju Bertay, big man up front, gets a sack.
Tried to step up and make something happen, but he ended up stepping right into the sack. You're so deep in your own territory now, you've got to punt here.
I mean, if you don't get it, you're already in field goal range if you're Wingate. So you got to send this one down from forward, maybe just trying to get another turnover, but a little bit earlier in the drive, right? It's Wingate's been getting pretty close in the red zone, and then red zone turnovers back to back.
We've also already seen snap, fumble one, high snap, nearly blocked.
Had one block a little bit ago, almost had another. G.W. Clemmer again causing havoc back there. So now I think for Wingate, you feel like you have this game almost put away, you know, unless there's a wild fourth quarter comeback upcoming here from Benedict. But I think now you just got to play cleaner to look forward to next week. It's gotten a little bit dark here the last couple of possessions, not as crisp, not as clean as they were to start the game. So how do you think they kind of fix that up as you're starting to look ahead maybe a little bit?
I feel like you just kind of got to slow down and think a little bit. Wingate just has not been on the same page these last couple drives.
And they'll start with a 5-wide look for Holmes in the backfield. Standing alone, takes the snap, going through his elite reads across the middle, and another interception for Elijah Holmes. He's the only one left to make the tackle, and he does. Wingate was looking for a pass interference, but it is Elijah Holmes, again, just not looking like himself here in the last couple of possessions.
Elijah Holmes, 4 turnovers, 4 interceptions on the season, but when he's turned the ball over, it's come in bunches. I mean, he had the one against Carson Newman, but then he had 3 interceptions against Winona Rhine.
And that is his second interception of the day.
And both of them have been his own fault. It's not the defense, you know, making a great play. It's been him just making bad reads, bad throws.
So now Jensen takes over. A good throw with pressure right in his face. Gets rid of it for a pretty decent gain on the first down play.
Nice athletic play by Malik Mullins to get that one over on the far side.
So Jensen all of a sudden starting to look a little bit more settled down into this game, making a couple better throws. He'll look to the right, far throw. Ephraim Wright again, making another play on the ball. That's his 4th deflection of the day. He's already got an interception.
And how many times have we called his name today? He has been all over the place. One of the best games of the season for him.
I mean, it's just been wild, especially with a secondary that's been a little mix and match. They've thrown in a couple of different guys out there, right in more of the slot look, and he has just been everywhere, making great reads, playing in both zone and man. Right there again in zone, reading the eyes of the quarterback. Showing blitz here. Jensen just has to get rid of it, loft it down the field. Somebody call Randy Moss. What a play on the sidelines there. Toe drag swag from Malik Mullins. Going up and over Brandon Perry. Here's another look. All out blitz from Wingate. Oh, goodness. Mullins high pointing the football. So now going quick here on the 5-yard line. Jensen up to Mullins again, but just out throws him. He was open once more.
Yeah, that one was going to Hillman, but Mullins, big target, 6'4", 200. Just what an impressive catch there on that previous play.
And then the awareness to get the feet down in bounds. I mean, that is a tough play to make. Jensen's been trying to go his way a couple of different times, just have not been able to do so. He thought about it once more on a fade route, but pump faked and then paid the price with Jaquan Edwards rolling through him.
A massive hit, and he's slow to get up.
So an injury timeout after Jensen is down, has not moved a muscle since that hit from Jaquan Edwards. We'll take a break. Benedict threatening, trying to put points on the board.
For Benedict from the 5-yard line.
Back line here, Jensen actually popped right up. I think just got the breath knocked out of him a little bit, but now it's Ocean back in the play, and he throws a dart across the middle for the first points of the day for Benedict. What a throw.
Just completely threaded the needle, coming in cold off the bench. Been a while since we've seen him, but that's huge for Benedict. You get a score going into the fourth quarter, just over a minute left here in the third. It's not over yet.
Not over yet. Plenty of time, especially with how the Wingate offense is currently looking. You never know what could happen. Point after attempt is up and good. And Benedict finds their first source of offense. It took a miraculous catch down the sidelines from Malik Mullins. but they got the job done. Jensen goes out. Ocean comes back in, delivers a dart. And the Tigers are on the board. Now looking for some of that comeback magic. Need a couple of stops here. It's been gotten some help from a couple interceptions from Elijah Holmes. And honestly, with how turnover happy Wingate's been today, it's still possible Benedict comes back into this one.
Absolutely. Holmes has to clean it up, and a little bit of a scoreboard update. The reason I say he's got to clean that up is because if Wingate wins, they're going on the road to Albany State next week, and you can't be turning the ball over against that Golden Rams team. They defeat Valdosta State 35-30. Newberry up on Kentucky State 38-24 with about 4 minutes left in that one, and North Greenville hanging around, trails 22-13 with just over 11 minutes left in the third.
Albany State, the #1 team in this region. We're down most of the game to Valdosta State. We've been kind of checking in on it, and last minute, you know, the great teams find a way to win, and that's exactly what they did. Made a play, jumped in front, never looked back to close out the fourth quarter. So Albany State awaits the winner of this one, with Benedict punching in there on that drive, still very much alive. This one returned back from Wingate. There's plenty of space down the sideline. One spin and a big hit, but Wingate will start at the 50.
That's a great return by Wingate there. We've seen them. They're capable of breaking some big returns. Had along the 52 all the way back against UNC Pembroke. So they'll set up shop at their own 49.
It was Bash on the return. Had pretty good blocking, pretty clean blocking at that. I wasn't quite sure if there was going to be a whistle or not. But was able to make some room, get it up to the 50, help out his quarterback here. We'll just hand it off to Appling, and he will just be manhandled to the ground there on that handoff.
And for Wingate here, you need to take care of the football on this drive, especially with Benedict getting a score. They've shown they can score now. We know that. So Wingate got to play a much cleaner brand of football for the last 15 and a half minutes.
Noah Coach again in the backfield. I mean, that's a guy, we mentioned it already, 21 tackles for loss, has been in the backfield a little bit today. Benedict's going to need him to start making a little bit more plays. Here's another handoff to Appling. Appling trying to look for some space. Smartly will stay down in bounds there, keep the clock rolling, and it might send us to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, very smart play from the redshirt freshman Appling, and it doesn't look like Wingate's going to run another play.
So Wingate will be satisfied, sending it to the final quarter of the day where the Dogs lead it 24-7, starting to smell the next round here on the first round of the NCAA playoffs on ESPN+.
After 3 quarters of the NCAA playoff game, your score, Wingate 24, Benedict 7. More than 50,000 student athletes compete in NCAA championships at more than 800 sites across the country each year. Share the experience and excitement of another NCAA championship coming to a city near you. To witness the top teams in the nation compete for a national championship, visit ncaa.com/tickets and make a date with champions. ncaa.com/tickets.
So back live here. 3rd and 8 here for Holmes. trying to look downfield, trying to find an open man. Now he'll get rid of it late, but could not find Jackson. And it looks like Wingate will have to punt once again, give the ball back to the Tigers.
It seems like the halftime break, the worst thing that could have happened for Holmes.
He's been so decisive, so quick to make his choices. Hesitated a lot there. And the throw just came late there to Jackson and hit the turf. So I had this punt from Teeter. Teeter will boot it away. That one almost blocked. He barely gets rid of it, but he is ran into, and the flag will come out. Either way, the ball rolled all the way to the 2-yard line. So working through the penalty, Teeter is able to get the play. And a beautiful punt. If they call it roughing the kicker, Wingate will keep the football.
Officials discussing it here. We'll see what it is.
Trying to decide, I guess, between running and roughing the kicker. That's two different things, funny enough. Running into the kicker is just a 5-yard penalty and usually a replay of down. Oh boy, got to turn on his microphone there, so not really sure. Oh boy. Well, he tried again and also failed. We're going to say, I think it was running the kicker, so Benedict will take over after that great punt, and we have an update from the sideline. We'll go over to Memphis, who's got an injury report, who's trying to stay dry down there. What's going on, Memphis?
So when it comes to injuries-wise, as you see, running back Xavier Pugh is still not playing. They said he's said to be out with a hamstring and a calf strain. He's said to be reported back to play next week. Also, B.D. Acosta is now seen playing after being out for a couple of drives due to a strain in his knee. And on the defensive side, Eli Hugh Lipscomb, a big defensive end that helps. He said he's to be out with a bad ankle sprain on his right side. Back to you guys upstairs.
So again, Wingate dealing with injuries. Shout out Memphis giving us that report. Acosta's been in and out, and then we obviously heard about Pugh, but it's good to hear he will be back next week for this Bulldog team. But Eli Hugh Lipscomb might be the biggest loss of them all, especially with Wingate really relying on the defense here. Here's a handoff to Morgan. Wingate's thinking safety. Did Morgan get out of the end zone? The marking currently is that he got back to at least the 1-yard line.
We'll see if Wingate wants to challenge this. I don't think they will. That was close.
I think with the amount of pressure they got there, they're hoping and praying. Benedict goes with that same play call. It's Morgan, a little bit of the bigger back, stronger back, but has not had much room to work with. And again, looks like Wingate might be bringing the heat again. Green and Aviles in there trying to bring some pressure. At the linebacker spot, but a quick throw to the outside, and it's just down to the outstretched arms. There on the right side to Drake.
A little bit of a rush throw there, but I feel like that's one you need to haul in. A little bit outside your body, but hit him in the hands.
It also kind of looked like Hillman almost took that one away from Jones. Like it looked like Jones was going to be just in the right area, the same as Hillman was. I don't know, it just felt weird how everyone after that play just kind of like stared at each other. Jansen, another handoff. Faces some pressure, but is able to break through. Pick up a pretty good gain there, and at the very least, just gives Benedict some room to punt this one away.
But Benedict here, you're starting to run out of time. 13:43 left here in this one. Your defense, you're going to need them to get a free and out here quickly.
Shout out Rivers Teeter. I mean, just a booming punt while being ran into, backed up Benedict after their defense got a great stop. The Tigers were not able to get out of their own way in their own end zone. That means they'll have to punt it back to a still struggling Wingate offense.
Play clock is at 0, and Benedict's going to have to burn a timeout here.
Didn't have the right personnel out on the field. Even the players were trying to call the timeout, realizing that. And now they're going to take the media timeout, so we'll step aside with them. Wingate about to get the football back, leading it 24-7 with 13:11 left in the fourth quarter here on ESPN. Punt set to get away. Almost pressured once again. Snap called the fair catch, but this was actually first time he's had plenty of room to actually take that one, but decides to be smart with the football. And Wingate will take over at the 48-yard line. With a methodical drive here, even with the short field, could about salt this one away, especially if you could punch one in to close it out.
If you're Wingate, I feel like you've got to run the ball and try and just burn the clock.
With the injury update, we know Acosta right there in the middle, the center, graduate senior center, has still been a little banged up, so that offensive line that has seen a lot of different bodies out there will have to try to close this game out, allow Appling some room to work with. He has some pretty good room here, bounces off his own O-lineman there, and gains a couple of more. Kleinsmith came in motion to try to block, but got his knee taken out. He's a little bit hobbled after that one.
Appling a little bit hobbled also. Something to watch. Mentioned Pugh already out with a hamstring calf strain.
Yeah, he was practicing in kind of limited form coming up into today. We assumed he was still going to be good to go, especially pretty big game like this, but Appling has filled in quite nicely. Throws a good block there. Now across the middle, another find. There's the speedster Himes. Got to make a play here, but is tackled down at about the 10-yard line. So Holmes stays calm, cool, and collected and delivers a dime there.
And that connection off the last couple weeks for Wingate. But nice play again. Jalen Himes just makes things happen as Appling comes off the field hobbling.
So it'll be Jacob Johnson. That's the other running back we've been seeing, number 0 in there to the right. So now Wingate knocking on the door once more at about the 11. Johnson gets the handoff. He charges forward. The initial gap was taken up, and he just did a good job sticking on his feet. Benedict comes out of the pile with the football, but I don't think they're going to be given the turnover, and now it looks like another lineman is down for Wingate.
Don't have a number just yet, but this Wingate offensive line had finally been healthy, but now starting to get banged up.
I think that's Liam Towie, who had missed a couple of games at the beginning of the year, who was down yet again, kind of holding at his ankle. So we'll take another quick break with the injury timeout. Wingate looking to punch one in again, maybe put this game away here on ESPN. So Towie slowly gets off the field. Able to do it on his own power, though. That's at least some good signs. Johnson gets another handoff. He attacks forward, but is ran into by a wall and doesn't go much further.
Any points, though, here for Wingate would be a positive. Just continue to increase the lead.
Johnson ran into Tyree Crunchfield, who is 6'2", 340 pounds. The senior nose guard. That's a big man. And that's who Bede Acosta has been having to deal with all day long. You can see why he's a little bit banged up, but has been holding his own. Holmes, play action, goes into the corner for Himes. Himes was looking one way. Holmes threw it to the other shoulder, and those two have been really going back and forth. They've had success, but when they come off the field, they've been kind of looking at each other, not really understanding. And even right there, Holmes was saying it's Himes, Himes was saying it's Holmes. So not really good if your two main guys can't seem to get on the same page.
Holmes coming off the field just looks frustrated. We haven't seen that a lot from him this season. Normally so calm, but looking at him on the sideline, talking to himself, just not happy with how things are going as Bone Steel's on for the kick.
And it was taken away. Bone Steel takes a shot, and it looks like the Tigers are going to waltz this one into the end zone. Don't go anywhere yet, Wingate. Benedict is starting to climb on back into this game, and it looks like the Dogs doing everything in their power to give it away to them.
Shades of last year.
It's happening again.
10:05 left.
I mean, just blocked and then right into the hands of Isaiah Isidore, the free safety. We saw him get called for a pass interference call. Well, no one's thinking about that after you just returned that one for a touchdown, and especially with how the offense has really slowed up. Benedict, their defense helping them out once more. Now it looks like Wingate all kinds of confused. Benedict showing a wild sign here, but then they'll come on back. I think just trying to give the Dogs a heart attack there for a second. And I think that's a miss on the point after attempt. We talked about the kicking has been hard for Benedict, and Karwacki misses his point after attempt after missing a field goal earlier in this game.
That could prove to be costly. That's only the second PAT Benedict has missed this year. But it's a crucial one to miss, as it's still an 11-point game.
So that one hurts the momentum at least, because it felt like you were starting to build up some energy on your side, and a mixed point after attempt, not always a good thing for the offense's sake, but especially if you need Norwacki for the end of the game. You never know what could happen.
And now that you're down 11, if you made that extra point, touchdown and a field goal, and you're tied now, to take the lead, you're going to have to score 2 touchdowns.
But Wingate has looked like a completely different team here in this second half, and I'm sure for the Wingate fans, you're worried about finishing this game out, and then you're really worried about going to the #1 team in the region next week on the road with how this team is currently looking to close this game out.
If the second half Wingate team goes to Albany State next week, that one will be ugly. Wingate's going to have to clean it up. I mean, that first half team, that could be a very good ball game over down there on the blue turf at Albany State.
Yeah, the first half team looked like, heck, they were the best team in the region, especially because in the first half of the Albany State game, they were losing. So if you look at the first halves, it's a completely different ranking system there. But Wingate's going to have to find a way to close this one out first before they start thinking about what's on the table next week, because Benedict is not going anywhere. Have come punching back into this game, had their first offensive touchdown, then tacked on a defensive touchdown on the blocked field goal.
But it kind of goes back to a trend all season for Wingate. They start out fast, and then they kind of take their foot off the gas and allow their opponents to get back in the game in the second half. Because they really haven't blown a team out other than Tusculum really since Bluefield State, or if you want to say UVA Wise.
It's been some costly turnovers. They've gotten in the red zone where this score can be completely different, but they've turned the ball over. A couple interceptions from Holmes, a couple of fumbles. Has not been the cleanest of games. Appling gets a handoff, and he is just met in the backfield, and he just keeps turning his legs to go further backwards. Benedict is alive, and right now Wingate is reeling.
We saw Appling come off the field hobble. Gotta wonder if that's affecting him any. But there's still a lot of football left.
I think that one's just a missed block there by the right tackle. Tennyson Hadfield, I mean, right around the edge from the linebacker spot was Isaiah Stevens. Here's Appling. He'll try to get to the edge, makes one cut, a beautiful move, but then he runs into Stevens once more. Stevens trying to rip that football out.
And Benedict has done a better job in the second half, limiting the big plays. Only a 3-yard gain there to get him back to the original line of scrimmage, but it's 3rd and long for Wingate.
And that's what I was also going to say, is also just been limiting the run game for Wingate. Have not been as powerful and as dominant in the trenches to this point as they were in that first half. So like you said, Thomas, 3rd and long on the 25, 8:50 left in the fourth quarter. Trips to the left side of Holmes. Holmes drops back, looking to his left, fires a shot to Jackson, and Butterfingers right through the hands of Xavier Jackson, and Holmes is in disbelief.
Very rarely do you see Jackson not make that play. And Wingate now just 2 for 11 on 3rd downs today, Landon.
And again, if you want to go further into this playoffs, that statistic cannot happen. I mean, that just cannot be a thing. And especially on a play like that when you had the first down easily. Plenty of space to work with, just right through the hands of Jackson. So now another punt here from Teeter. And Teeter, as consistent as he's been all year, not a very good punt there, all things considered, especially from what you expect from Rivers Teeter, the guy that just put one at the 2-yard line from a similar spot.
And it seems like in the first half, everything was going wrong for Benedict. The second half, it's been Wingate that's had the issues.
I mean, this crowd looks shocked. They had the rain come in. Wingate does not fare well with the weather, but the rain has now disappeared. There are no more excuses you have left out there. Wingate just looked like the worst team here in the second half.
Battered Bulldog syndrome starting to kick in from last year?
Possibly, but maybe that's what's been in the back of their minds in this second half. Jensen, though, there's a good response. Maybe Manju Bertay shutting down those thoughts.
Bertay, he's had a great year coming into this one. 10.5 tackles for loss and 3.5 sacks, adding to that there. The crowd finally has something to cheer about once again.
Second sack for Bertay. Just right in the middle. Took on the double team there and still broke free. And was able to throw down Jensen. So now Benedict starts well behind the sticks, but Jensen lobs one down to Mullins again. Great defense on the far side by Noah Collins.
Benedict thought they had a mismatch there, a jump ball for Mullins. Saw him haul one in earlier, but just couldn't that time.
He had the mismatch for sure. Collins, a 5'9" freshman versus a 6'4" receiver senior in Mullins, but Collins just the better play there.
And a senior with Division I experience, Mullins started his career at Montana State.
So now 3rd and really long for Jensen. Looking to his left, takes a shot, got it over the head of Edwards, but incomplete, out of bounds.
And it's Bertay once again with a big hit on Jensen.
And it looks like Benedict's going to elect to punt this one away. I guess you don't want to give Wingate plus territory, and it's also 4th and 16. That doesn't help. But I don't know, time's starting to get a little bit more against you.
But this Wingate offense
has
not looked good.
Just about to go there. They have been quick 3-and-outs, if not turnovers, in the last couple of possessions for Wingate. So a great point you make. And Snap will just call a fair catch, and Wingate will start back up from the 15. They've been able to get started, but haven't been able to have a strong drive since the first half. What do you think they have to establish here on this drive?
I mean, I say establish for pass game, but at the same time, it's more prone to turnovers. So it's a tough spot Wingate's in, especially without your number 1 back and one of the best running backs in the South Atlantic Conference, Xavier Pugh.
Wingate defense cheering each other on after that one. They know that stop was pretty big, especially with the momentum starting to go and teeter to the side of the Tigers. So Holmes has Appling back in there to his left. Appling gets the handoff, trying to go to the left, but not much room, and now Acosta comes out of the pile hobbled up once more.
When is he not hobbled up, though? He's played
warrior.
banged up all season.
A warrior. You can see the big old tape job that he's got on his left ankle, not to mention how he looks pretty much like Batman with the amount of pads and stuff that he has on there. And bruised and battered, but dedicated to the team. Still out there rocking with the guys up front, knowing that that front 5 is still very banged up as well. Even Liam Towie back out there after rolling his ankle a couple possessions ago. Pistol look, Appling takes the handoff, but again, the Tigers are in the backfield, and all of a sudden, they're starting to look like the Tigers we expected coming into today.
And we've been talking about Jalen Himes and Elijah Holmes not being on the same page. Maybe you have to start running some of those jet sweeps. We saw Wingate do that some this season, but just nothing seems to be working up the middle as of right now.
And this line that had been providing a bunch of space and winning the battle in the trenches no longer have done that here in this second half. 3rd and 14 for the Dogs. Holmes takes the snap, having to evade the pressure, will throw on the run, and it is knocked away. What a recovery there on the far side of the field.
I thought for a moment that Benedict might have had a shot at yet another interception. Just what a play, and this looks like 2 completely different teams from what we saw in the first half.
I mean, this has just had me in disbelief, to say the least, with the way Wingate has looked in this second half. Jameer Toney flying with great pursuit to the football, knocked that one away from Estranza. Would have almost been another big-time completion on 3rd down, but now Teeter trying to find one of those good punts back in the bag. Pretty decent punt here, much better than the last. And I'll tell you what, Mingo gives me a heart attack every time he catches a punt. He drops to the ground every single time. Hey, he hasn't dropped one yet, so maybe he knows something we don't.
But good starting field position for Benedict here, right on the 50-yard line.
Teeter a little upset with himself after the last couple of punts. I think the weather and the conditions starting to affect the flight as well. So not completely on him.
Kind of feels like Wingate's just in their own heads right now.
Everybody. I think you are 100% correct. Hand off here to Morgan, but I guess we should say only for the offense and special teams, because the defense looks like the defense we saw in the first half.
Wingate came out of the pile acting like they recovered a fumble. Referee's going to rule him down, though.
Wingate was fired up, though. They wanted that turnover. I think this defense has been tested about how they need to step up with the offense going a little bit dormant here in the second half. Remember, head coach Rashawn Jordan is the defensive coordinator. This is his group he's in charge of. But Morgan bounces one to the outside. He's thinking end zone, but then just escorts himself out of bounds for a big-time gain. Oof. So Morgan bounces it to the outside. Really just plenty of room to work with. No one there on the edge for Wingate. Jensen going fast. Looks like he's going to take off, but then last minute tosses it up to Simmons. Simmons very frustrated. Felt like he had a lot of grabbage there in that slot position.
I feel like Benedict would have just been better off with him taking himself and running with it. Tried to force it in there.
I mean, Omar Ball was pretty close from having his second interception of the day. Had one off of a tip drill that miraculously bounced off of Brandon Perry. Jensen now this time will just take off, be a little bit more confident, spins off of Elis and gets close, at least halfway to the first down. Make it a third and much more manageable than if he were to go down there.
And a field goal would make this an 8-point game, but we've seen Benedict struggle in the kicking game all season, so nothing a sure thing here.
3rd and 4. Jensen takes the snap, handoff to Morgan. Again, interesting play call there from the Tigers. Morgan doesn't get very far, but that might just hurt Wingate once again. Penalty flag comes flying in at the bottom of the pile.
I didn't see what started all of that. All I saw was a pile of bodies and someone came out of there not happy. Let's see. Nice job. Cuts right into the pile. Great job by Edwards to take him down.
Wingate was not happy about Bertay just being jumped on. It was Isaiah Richardson, the redshirt freshman, at the end of the play just jumped on top of Bertay. But Wingate is the one that ends up with the unsportsmanlike conduct. And Wingate fans cannot believe it, and I can't say I disagree. I mean, it was Richardson that jumped on top of the Wingate player at the end of that play. But
I feel like that's got to be at least offsetting.
I think so. But I guess, they always see the second guy, right? They never see the first guy. And that's what happened there. Handoff up the middle. Now the defense just has to find a way to reset, move on from that play. Time's starting to become of the essence. 3:50 in the fourth. Benedict knocking on the door once again. Tristan Morgan has had the hot hand on this drive. Gets another handoff. Play action pass. Zip to the outside. Jensen finds Simmons. Oh my goodness.
I feel like if you're Benedict here, you got to go for 2.
The offense is currently running off the field. Doesn't look like they're thinking about it, but now they're going to make their way back onto the field.
Go for 2, you get it. Field goal ties the football game. And with how this Wingate offense has been playing, you feel like if you're Benedict, a pretty good shot you get the football back.
I mean, we might be a broken record, but it's really looking like history has repeated itself so far for Wingate. Jensen looking across the middle. Of course, Ephraim Wright involved in the play knocks it away.
Nice play by the Wingate defense. Officials are talking about something.
Referee's mic has been off for quite some time, but actually, he's going to signal offsides on Wingate. So, again, Wingate shooting themselves in the foot, and Benedict gets another chance here at the two-point try.
And it feels like Wingate is just finding every way possible to let Benedict back into this game.
The Dogs are crumbling at this point. Does the defense have another stand, or does Benedict make this a one-score game? Jensen drops back, unblocked blitzer, and that one's knocked away by Baugh. Green came in untouched, forced Jensen to get rid of the football, and the pass was not completed.
Wingate is so glad to have Omar Baugh back. Got banged up, left the game last week against Mars Hill.
Just knocked that one away. Great defense. Could have maybe gone either way with, the grab of the hip. That's one you don't get too many calls about. But the Wingate defense comes up big once more. At least stopping the two-point conversion to where if this offense can't get anything moving again, you're going to need a touchdown to go back in front if you're Benedict.
I gotta wonder what the message is to this Wingate offense.
The Benedict sideline's starting to look like the home team at this point. We got shirts off in the stands. They're spinning the shirts around. It's been raining. It's been pouring. But the Tigers are still locked in on the other side. Kind of put these Bulldog fans to shame here. Although we do have a lady with a cane over here just wiggling around in the air. We got a lot going on right now in this game. Everybody's starting to feel the excitement. The guys in the top left, they're trying to get them hyped up. They're trying to get going here for Benedict, who, like you mentioned in the first half, traveled really well. Fair catch there from Wingate, and they'll just start from the 25, get ready to go. The Tigers trying to fire up their defense once more. They need another stop here with 3:36, 2 timeouts left for Benedict.
And because it was caught, if it was inside the 10-yard line, yes, it would be at the 25, but that's going to be at the 16.
So a little bit of a mental mistake there from Wingate, and maybe they're moving it out. They might be giving them the benefit here. Might have gotten a little lucky. Might have gotten a little lucky because I'm with you. It definitely has to be inside the 10. Bash well outside of that, but they'll give it to him and move it up to the 25. Hand off to Appling going to the short side of the field, and he has no room to work with.
I personally wish we could go back to the days where balls where you fair catch it. But nonetheless, what a
I would
great
never
job.
guess.
But what a great job by Benedict's defense there. And they're poised to put Wingate in another 3rd and long. And neither team has been good on 3rd down today, Landon.
Neither team's even been worth saying been bad. I mean, it's just been horrible, horrific on 3rd downs. But now Wingate behind the sticks once more. And have not been very confident putting it through the air, and they won't do it here. Appling just goes forward for a couple, gets back in front of the original line of scrimmage. Whistle's blowing. And Benedict's going to take a timeout here. Interesting choice, I think, just to make sure they get the stop, but you have the 2-minute timeout coming up. It's another 3rd and long. Thomas, what do you think is the reason here for the timeout from Benedict?
I mean, I guess just to make sure everybody's on the same page here, you've got 3rd down and 9 at Wingate's own 26.
And they've had some pretty good looks on third down. They've been able to make some throws, at least Elijah Holmes has, just haven't been able to complete the passes. We had a drop from Jackson. Estranza couldn't get to the football completely. So it's been a couple of punts for Wingate in the last couple possessions. He makes in a couple turnovers. It's been a completely different second half and a much more closer game than what we were looking at in the first half.
And a much closer game than it probably should have been. Elite teams do not take their foot off the gas, and this game, honestly, Landon, feels like it should be a blowout.
And Benedict is now starting to make some noise. We can hear him from across the way, really trying to get behind this defense. They need one more third down stop to give the offense a chance. And it looks like they might have just gotten a break is Wingate.
Looks like it'll be encroachment on Benedict. Defensive end on the left side jumped into the neutral zone, and it will be. So now you go from third and long to third and manageable here, 3rd and 4 at the 31.
There's no Okocha, who's been so good today for Benedict. Just got a little antsy, was trying to make another play, working against Liam Towie, the strong left tackle. Those two have been battling all day today, but just jumped off sides, got the encroachment call, and like you said, much easier here for Wingate on the third down now. Holmes takes the snap, looking across the middle, gets it to the short-handed receiver, and Estranza, and he picks up the first down.
Estranza fired up on that one, has some words for a defender as the referee pushes him away. Wingate, got to keep your composure here.
Amari Terry got beat there in man coverage. And I'm with you. I mean, you get called for a penalty there, it does not matter that you made the catch. So now Wingate is taking their sweet time. Starting to feel a little bit more confident about closing this game out. They have the 2-minute warning come up, and I think that's what they're going to run it to, is the game clock is going faster than the play clock is, and that's where we'll get to the 2-minute timeout, where Wingate holding on for dear life, leading it 24-19 here in the first round of the NCAA playoffs on ESPN.
First and 10 to Wingate at the 39.
Back live here for the 2 minutes left in this one between whether Wingate moves on to play Albany State or Benedict. Appling gets the handoff, and he is again hit hard. Got a couple, really just one.
And Benedict with only one timeout remaining, so a first down will just about do it for Wingate.
These next couple of plays are make or break here for the Tigers. If you can get a stop, force a punt, you're going to have to go pretty far when you haven't had too many big plays so far on offense. Remember, you've only gotten to this point a couple of quick throws because of some turnovers by Wingate. And then a defensive touchdown off a blocked field goal. Appling trying to cut up the field, able to get a little bit more than he probably would have if he didn't make that move. And the final timeout comes from Benedict.
So if you're Benedict here, say it takes about 7 seconds to run a play, you're at about the 1 minute mark. Wingate can take that all the way down, take a delay of game or a timeout. You're only looking at about 15, 20 seconds.
If that. I mean, you got to get the stop here first. I mean, Wingate can get one final good push, get that first down, and it doesn't matter how much time you have left. So you got to get the stop and then just hope and pray you get a little lucky at this point. No more timeouts because you had to use one when you couldn't get set up on your punt. Now you're really seeing the effects hurt you.
And I feel like Wingate here, I think you'll see them run the ball. No reason to take a risk and throw an interception. But if you're Jay-Sean Appling here, 2 hands on the football.
Oh, yeah. Already fumbled on actually his first handoff of the day. First play of the day we saw. 3rd and 5. First down here, salts it away, and Wingate moves on. Get a stop here, Benedict has a chance. Still plenty of time on the game clock, or play clock, excuse me. As Holmes looked over to his sidelines, got the play. Now just handed off to Appling. Appling stumbling, picks up 3, and he's going to be short, so it's going to be a punt. We're going to get a chance for the Benedict offense to have a play.
24-second differential between the game and the play clock here. Wingate's going to take that one all the way down.
And either, like you said, you were right on the money with it. Either call a timeout or just go ahead and take that delay of game, allow Teeter to kind of have a little bit more room to work with, to have more of a full-on kick. But yeah, it will be 24 seconds left on the clock. In fact, he'll give a generous 25 when the timeout is taken here by Wingate. And depending on how this punt goes, Benedict is going to have to drive the full distance of the field with no timeouts in 25 seconds. No field goal, you have to score.
And it's going to be extremely tough, especially when you haven't really seen too many big plays on the offensive side of the football today from the Tigers. A lot of their big plays have come via turnovers on the defensive side. But Wingate's going to be looking for another great punt from Rivers Teeter, one of the best punt returners and punters in the SAC.
So this could be it. Also got to be aware of maybe a punt return. I wouldn't count on it, but Mingo has been feeling dangerous all day long. Teeter will have the punt for Wingate. Boots it away, a high arching kick. Mingo will just call for the fair catch, go to the ground. And Benedict will take over at the 15 with 19 seconds left. You saw one big play from Malik Mullins that led to, their 3rd touchdown, where he had to go Massa guy for it, but he still was able to get it at least. But other than that, that's about the only time we've seen Jensen have any success through the air.
And if I'm Wingate's defense here, I think you're going to see a lot of guys towards that sideline. You want to make Benedict have to go toward the middle of the field.
Wingate brings in the 6'4" corner and Bryson Steele at the top of your screen. But pretty good size in the secondary for Wingate. A throw to the corner, and I think that catch is made, and it is. Coach Jordan cannot believe it. In fact, the referees will come together and then they'll talk about it and then they'll have the call. But Coach Jordan was looking at it like, are you kidding me?
Benedict with no timeouts cannot challenge that.
And so Jensen thought he had a good look, but just could not quite get the feet down from Hillman. 15 seconds left after that incompletion. Jensen takes the snap, has to avoid the pressure. He goes back across the middle. If that's intercepted, the game's over, but it bounces off the turf. Ball almost had his second.
Not sure what Jensen was doing there. Just throw that one away. A forced throw, and he's fortunate.
So getting down to perhaps the final plays of the game here for Benedict. Jensen takes the snap, fires one far side. Hillman cannot make the catch. And now I think we're just going to see a bunch of hot potato down the field if Benedict can get lucky.
86 yards stands between Benedict and the victory.
And this would be a way to end it for Wingate. With the way this second half has gone, can they shut down the final play? Jensen, one, is going to have to get it off and then complete the pass. It's been a little wild here in the last couple of plays. He'll just dump it down to Simmons. Simmons pump fakes. Now he'll throw it all the way to the other side of the field. There's room down the sideline. Boss chasing him down. Brandon Perry trying to get to it. Oh my goodness. Benedict has scored. Benedict has scored. Holy cow. Bananas. Insanity. I have never seen anything like that. The converted quarterback with the pump fake, Simmons, fires a dart all the way across the field, and then is a foot race, and Brandon Perry can't make the tackle. My goodness.
This Wingate crowd is absolutely stunned. The referees, they're talking it over. It looked like a backwards pass to us. Officials trying to get Benedict back onto their side of the football field.
I mean, I don't know what can overturn this unless stepping out of bounds on the far sideline on the field, but I don't think so. Because I think Simmons, so when Simmons throws the ball has to be caught from behind where he threw it. Now Simmons was going forward when he threw that ball, so I am not sure if Mullins stayed behind it when he caught it. But that is a tough play to make, and I don't know if there's enough to overturn it.
There's got to be indisputable video evidence. And again, it never looked like he stepped out of bounds.
Unless it was on this tackle, but I'm not sure. I mean, Mullins goes
Looks good there.
back into, the line.
He didn't step out of bounds.
Never was out of bounds.
This is all going to come down to, was it a backwards pass?
And I don't think there's any way of really knowing. I don't think there's any true way of knowing. Now, maybe penalties on the field? I don't know. I don't really know what could overturn what we just saw. Either way, that was the most incredible ending to a football game I think I have ever seen in my life.
That one might end up on SportsCenter tonight.
I mean,
wow. They have additional angles that we don't have.
That is true.
But from angles we have, it looks like Benedict's going to win the football game.
Man, I mean, I don't really know if I have words. There's the tent. That's where the review is going down. I mean, what a way this game would end if somehow, some way, the referee comes out of here and reverses that whole thing, and we see both teams celebrate in the same game. Wingate has lost this game, by the way. They had the entire game in their control, in their path, and just could not put it away. Shout out to Benedict for never giving up. I mean, an insane effort, even more so if this ends up being as successful. Benedict is antsy waiting for this call. You have to take as long as you can. This is an important decision.
So he throws the ball at the 29, and I mean, we don't even see him in the frame. So I don't know what.
See, but that's after he threw it, though, like, because he was going forward. So he threw it from about maybe the 25-ish, if that. And I think Mullins still made the catch behind the 25. I mean, this is a long, long review and a much-deserved long, long review. Benedict obviously seems to think the referees have now come out of the tent. Here's a look. So Simmons pump fakes here. He pump fakes, moves down the field. He throws this football about the 28-yard line, and Mullins catches it about the 25. I think that's clean. We'll go down to the field. Had troubles with the referee microphone today.
I don't see why we're having the one play down. Because Benedict is leading 25-24, so the extra point wouldn't matter. I don't understand why we're having the one untimed down. Wingate, you still got a shot.
I guess. Unless you have some sort of block kick, or fumble or something else. We've already seen every other possible miraculous thing that you can think of. I'm not even really sure why the down is not even in, I guess just taking the snap, putting it down on the ground, but
Benedict's just going to take a knee here.
Yeah, and there's no point to go for the point after. You've already won the game. And Benedict, by a miracle, has walked into Erwin Belk and just shell-shocked the Dogs.
This is a game that Wingate had no business losing, and they found a way to give it up.
That's how I would break it. Found a way to lose. I mean, you were up 17-0 going into the break, and we saw Benedict score 25 unanswered points. That was the difference. The offense, too many unforced turnovers, bad mistakes, couldn't figure it out down the field, and Benedict took advantage.
I think Wingate's inexperience on offense showed there, especially in the end of the third quarter and the fourth quarter. Holmes and Himes were just never on the same page in that second half. Also, you don't have Xavier Pugh in the game, and other than Estranza, this is a young Wingate skill group.
I mean, it was another youngster. We talked about the size of Bryson Steele, but that's a young guy. They put him in there for that play. He over-pursued, got burnt down the sideline, and then it was a foot race in which Mullins is going to win every single time, and then Perry just could not make the tackle right in front of the end zone. I mean, I don't know how we signed this off, but what an incredible game here in Wingate, North Carolina, that shows possibly the greatest ending we have ever seen, especially at the D2 level. Magnificent game all throughout, and Wingate cannot believe it. Thomas, I mean, if you got any final thoughts, what can you give me?
Albany State better come ready to play next week because it's already hard enough to beat a team twice. This Benedict team is poised for revenge here. If they play like they did in the second half, they can beat anybody in this region.
And especially with a play like that, that could create some pretty spectacular things going further into this playoff push. But we'll have to sign off here from Wingate, North Carolina, and Irwin Belk Stadium. Landon Harbin, Thomas for Garrett Elder in the producer truck doing it a lot. Melissa helped in, stepped in, did great jobs in the truck. The camera crew sticking through the rain, did an amazing job today. But that will do it for us. Benedict wins in an insane fashion, a lateral touchdown as the buzzer sounded to push them to take on Albany State next week. Good night from Wingate, North Carolina.